Anime has had a lot of years under its belt. The umbrella of anime has become vast, with tens of thousands of shows being watched and constantly in development. It can range from beautiful dramas to actions to guys being reincarnated as literally anything. I got reincarnated as a pickled egg and had to witness the goings-on in a neighbour's kitchen, unbeknownst to them that I was progressively gaining consciousness. I thought that up in about 3 seconds, okay? Give me 3 years, it'll be on Crunchyroll. I remember when the industry was a lot smaller and entering it felt like a bit of a minefield. It was pretty polished, but it hadn't hit that global appreciation yet. It had a bit of a weird stigma about it. So I thought I'd go back in time and explore 5 anime which really shaped my appreciation for the art form it has become today. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. There was a lot of shows I wanted to include here, and it was really hard to decide. What actually got me into anime? Well, it's none other than Attack on Titan. I feel like nobody can deny the sheer impact that AOT made because it was packaged in such a great way. The animation speaks for itself even after the studio shift, but it combines elements of horror and existentialism, and yet it's so digestible to any audience. Which is why I would always say that this is one of, if not the best anime to start watching if you don't know anything about anime. It's amazing how it pulls you in and feeds you these little droplets of information and this subtle foreshadowing about the state of the country and why things are the way they are. It doesn't really give you much time to breathe. One thing I didn't appreciate until we got to the end of Attack on Titan is how it basically redefined the tone for mainstream anime. It's one of the shows where the world itself feels like a character because everything is just so miserable and oppressive. Everything is designed to make you feel trapped with all the characters, and you genuinely care about each and every one of them. The only downside is that it's so good that it sets up your expectations for everything you see in the future to also be that good. In my case, after I caught up with AOT, I then moved over to Sword Art Online, which was a questionable decision. Your Lie in April. I used to play keyboard a lot as a kid and I fell out of love with it, but after watching this anime so many years down the line, it inspired me to pick it up again, which is exactly why there is a piano right next to me in this room. Your Lie in April is the reason I got a piano again. Kusei Arama's journey is miserable. He's a piano prodigy, probably the best of his age, and yet piano and loneliness is all he knows. So when his world is flipped upside down by Kaori, it really makes us care for the progression of Arama's character. From this single-minded prodigy to this complex person. I found it teaches this valuable life lesson about how your life can just have this crazy snowball effect if you meet the right person in your life. Sometimes the wrong person, it can lead you astray a little bit, but it doesn't mean you won't learn something. Another thing I found Your Lie in April really nails is the idea that art isn't just a hobby, it's more of a language, and you can see that throughout all of the performances. It's more like they come across as conversations or poetry, because each and every song in the series seems to say something about the character who is playing it. It's not even just Kusei who does this, like when Winter's Wind hits, wow, this just took it to the next level for me. The music does tell the story, and if you've ever had a creative passion you've slowly drifted away from, like I did with my piano, this just hits so much harder because it captures that level of guilt that you can sometimes feel, you know, and a lot of artists do carry this, the feeling that, oh, I should be better than this. There's a lot of emotional baggage behind artists. We're all just perpetually sad, all just miserable. Your Lie in April made me appreciate more slice of life and drama shows which deals with loneliness. Off the bat, I think of March Comes In Like a Lion and Blue Period. Clannad. Oh no, not Clannad. There's a lot of sad memories here. This is a throwback for some people. I genuinely got emotional after this, and I can't decide whether to be embarrassed by that or not. It was a long time ago. I first watched Clannad in 2016, keep in mind it came out in 2004, and it sends you through a lot of emotions. You go through different stages, the first one being, the art style was just like, what is that? The eyes are so apart, she's looking like Sid the Sloth. And from the cover, you probably think this looks like something more catered for little kids, as opposed to 16-year-old guys who are trying to avoid being taken the piss out of. But let's be honest, I still got the piss taken out of me regardless of whether people knew I was watching Clannad. But my god, this show is deceiving, because it comes in 2 parts. You've got the wind-up, which is the first season where you get introduced to all the characters and their little antics and problems. It's all quite cute and silly. And then you reach the gut punch, which is called Clannad After Story, which probably made a lot of people severely sad when they watched this for the first time. I remember it just made me feel so empty inside, honestly. The way this story goes is so out of left field because very little indicates it's going to go this way. I think something a lot of people overlook about Clannad is how it explores adulthood, because because so many anime, especially slice of life and romance and whatever, they stop, you know, once the characters graduate, but Clannad kind of goes, no, we're gonna show you everything, like having a job and parenting and all the responsibility that comes with being an adult. It's weird because After Story kind of both feels like a reward and a punishment just for sticking with the show, because it grows up with you, and that's really rare. It's actually really unique. It's not flashy, it's not doing anything impressive, it's just reflecting a very real situation which is underpinned by dreamlike, fantastical elements. You get a lot of characters in shows who are just destined for greatness, and then you have this one guy in Clannad who is just trying to make it to the next day. It's a heartbreaking show. Maybe it deserves a remake, but I don't see that happening. I don't even know if it would hit the same, because the beauty is kind of in the show's deception, and the packaging really makes you think this won't go where it ends up going. Other great shows like this is Anohana, Angel Beats, and Plastic Memories. Elfen Lied. Elfen Lied's a great show to watch because it's very short, you know, it does what it needs to do and then it leaves. It's one of those rare cases where the violence and brutality in the series actually serves a purpose. It's very representative of suppressed trauma, there's a lot of psychological themes going on. Lucy is a really flawed protagonist, and what I appreciated was that it took horror in a new direction, because I was already apprehensive about horror in anime. It's hard to find a good one, and I found a recurring theme of the good ones is when they lean more towards the psychological. I remember Elfen Lied having a really good soundtrack. I remember the opening being really iconic. Watching Elfen Lied led me to watching shows like Shiki and Parasite and Devilman, which are all solid horror anime in their own way, and another, which is basically just Final Destination. Serial Experiments Lane. I like to think this is the next level of the iceberg when you've watched a couple of horror anime or psychological, and you want something that's a bit more niche. Serial Experiments Lane is one of those shows that just stands out because it feels off. Is that a good way of describing it? Experiments Lane is fascinating because obviously it came out before social media did, you know, before smartphones, and yeah, it's warning us about all these concepts that didn't really exist yet. It predicted a lot of things like online identities and the repercussions of it, you know, a lot of isolation. As time goes on, it just feels so much more relevant. This was one show I remember watching and feeling as though it didn't belong anywhere. It was so unique in every way, from its sound design to the crusty visuals, which, by the way, add so much to the feeling of this show, but it actually adds to the vibe because it's kind of old now. It feels like something you'd find on a VHS in the back of the shed, and the story feels like it actually belonged in the back of that shed, just waiting to be found. And eventually you will find it, and you'll have a great time watching it. It talks about technology and the psyche, and it poses a lot of philosophical questions about our identity. There's a lot to unpack, but it's short, so it's even better. Now forget about all the shows I mentioned, because let's be honest, let's all come to unanimous agreement that the one show that had the biggest global impact on everyone, undeniably, is Baki.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, Baki. Yujiro Hama's the GOAT. No one's gonna beat him, man.
If anyone says
no
they
one's
don't
gonna
like
beat
Baki,
you.
they're lying.
Biscuit Olivia.
Genuinely a masterpiece.